I'm going to hand it off to Emily Pape with the Electrification Coalition. Electrification Coalition is a fantastic partner on our technical team that works on transportation electrification issues. If you haven't met Emily yet, please reach out directly to her and sit down and have a conversation on what we can do in partnership with you all around transportation electrification initiatives in your community. But with that, I'll hand it off to you, Emily.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, like Joe said, my name is Emily Pape. I'm a senior associate with the Electrification Coalition, and we are happy to talk and support on all things transportation electrification. So definitely reach out. Those of you who I have not met yet, and those of you who I have, continue to reach out. So like Joe said, I'm here to talk a little bit about the Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant. So next slide, Cassandra. Again, just to start off a little bit about the EC, we are a national, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that develops and implements a broad set of strategies to facilitate widespread adoption of electric vehicles in order to overcome the economic, public health, national security challenges that stem from the United States dependence on oil. So our sister organization, SAFE, focuses on kind of the national security side of this. And then we really continue and extend this focus onto transportation and electrifying that transportation. Next slide. So the Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant, so here on referred to as CFI. So just to set the stage, we are going to do an overview of this grant opportunity, look at some insights from round one, which, as most of you know, was recently released, and then take some key steps to prepare for round two, really looking at the insights that we gained from those round one awards and hopefully inform better applications for round two. Next slide. Perfect. So the CFI grant is kind of the other side of the bipartisan infrastructure law, the counterpoint being to NEVI, which is the National EV Charging Infrastructure Program. And so NEVI allotted $5 billion for direct current fast charging, DC fast charging chargers along alternative fuel corridors, and that would be for deployment roughly every 50 miles along designated priority routes. So then CFI is kind of the other side of that bucket, is $2.5 billion for community and corridor projects. And this program prioritizes rural areas, low-income neighborhoods, and other really community-focused elements. And so CFI is then divided into these two buckets that are made up of the community program and then the corridor program. Next slide. So here are some kind of selection priorities that were indicated in the NOFO that we really see in most of the awarded projects for round one. And these involve access for disadvantaged communities. So there was $267,153,765 awarded across 30 projects that really emphasize station location in or walking distance from disadvantaged communities. So we really see that access being prioritized for these communities. And then we also saw rural community access being a really high priority with $116,850,348 awarded across 15 projects that were based in rural areas. And this accounted for almost a fifth of all of the project funding. So again, another pretty high priority for selection there. A couple other important selection priorities that we saw were community engagement with $61,674,708 awarded across 7 projects that really focused on those anticipated community engagement efforts. And then we also saw workforce development as a priority with $48,010,000 awarded across 3 projects that we're aiming to use funding to create an apprenticeship program in order to build a network of electricians. So again, these are just kind of the priorities that we're seeing through that round one. Okay, next slide. So digging a little bit deeper into these trends we saw across winning applications. So these are kind of beyond those selection priorities we just looked at, and just might be good to keep in mind as you're looking to round two. So there was medium and heavy duty considerations with $240,699,043 across 4 projects that specifically focused on charging for these medium and heavy duty EVs. There was also a focus on multimodal transport, so $104,710,300 across 8 projects that really looked at connecting chargers to other modes of transport. And so that would look like bus and train stops, e-bike and e-scooter charging docks, that sort of thing. We also saw a trend in multi-unit dwelling access. So there was $44,710,000 across 4 projects. And they really focused on ensuring charging was within walking distance from multi-unit dwellings. And we did see one applicant that specifically dedicated their project to access for multi-unit dwellings. Also renewable energy generation, pulling that in, that's important, an important tie that we saw with $44,033,727 across 4 projects. These projects mentioned using renewable energy as at least part of their energy source for their chargers. And then finally, we also saw a trend in upgrades to pre-existing systems with $18,620,067 across 3 projects. And these projects were really focused on updating the current infrastructure. So infrastructure that's already in the ground, making sure that it's up to snuff for all the things that we're going to need it for, as well as some installation of new sites to really hone in on that reliability and connectivity. Okay, next slide. So this is kind of high level award data, just the numbers that came out of this round 1 award. There were 47 projects across 24 states, and 35 of those 47 projects were community focused. The total amount awarded was $622,573,846, but the average bid award was $13,246,252. And so there was really that trend toward funding these larger projects. And so throughout all of these awards, the anticipated charger deployment that will arise from this are 7,500 chargers across the US, and at least 120 of those chargers that will support medium and heavy duty vehicle electrification. So you can see in this chart here kind of the amount awarded per project on the community side, with the highest number of projects. Yes, thanks for the mousing showing where it is. The highest number of projects being awarded in that 13 million to 15 million range. Okay, next. So then when we look at the elements of projects that were awarded, I mean, you see here in our lovely little pie graph that there was a wide variety in approach, in size, in type, though there was significant focus on disadvantaged communities and Justice 40 initiatives, and then also medium and heavy duty vehicle submissions were awarded. So kind of what we've already discussed on the focuses, but here it is laid out in graph format. And as you can see, the rest was a mix of workforce development, community engagement, multimodal related projects, multi-unit dwelling access, renewable energy, and rural areas being prioritized. Next. So then we see the distribution of applicant types awarded. And looking here, you can see that cities won the majority of awards, then followed by counties and agencies, then public authorities, then MPO, COGs, local governments, universities, tribal nations, and one utility. However, we really saw that collaboration was key here. And so collaborations across cities, really aided by partnerships, that's teaming up with local businesses, MPOs, other organizations to help with grant writing and implementation. So really making those connections, building a team, that's really key. So next slide. So really digging in, looking to round two, you wanna prepare, right? We want to learn from the round one applicants and awards, looking at what worked, what didn't work, digging into that data, but then also connecting with your partners. And like I just said, collaboration is really key. And this can even begin today on this call in a couple minutes when Joe opens up the floor again for folks to start talking. So thinking about who you want to work with, both, thinking about what your project looks like, what resources you need. Yes, create that internal team, but also identify and connect with your core partners as soon as you possibly can. And so, like I said, this might be your utility, this might be site hosts, but it also might be your neighboring municipalities and your county and other folks potentially on this call. From there, you want to, begin identification of your charging sites, other partners beyond those initial partners, and making sure you have an understanding of what your community needs, or hotspots for pre-existing charging. And then you want to dive into that writing, drafting that application, joining grant writing workshops, online and in-person engagements. And if you've applied before, this is a really good opportunity to focus on kind of honing that prior submission, retooling it, making it so it's the best fit for this grant opportunity. And PCFO is a fantastic resource for this as you prepare your application. We at the EC also have a variety of tools and resources specific to CFI. We have a specific landing page for all our CFI resources that is on our website, and I believe was just dropped in the chat. So feel free to take a look at that. And I think that brings me to a close. Yes. So thank you all for listening, and I'm very happy to answer any questions, reach out to me directly, or the electrification more broadly. But yeah, thank you.